Hi, it's Nell coming to you from my kitchen again, and today's video is all about soil for succulents. So stick around for that. Now, succulents need a special kind of a soil. You can't use garden soil for them. Even potting soil tends to be a bit too heavy, so they need a really chunky, very well-drained, well-aerated mix so the water just drains out and there's plenty of airflow in the soil or room for air to get into the soil, and that's what they really like and they need, and that's when they do their best in that kind of a soil. Now, there are a lot of commercial soils on the market that you can get at garden centers, or you can make your own. I make my own. There's a lot of different, mixes. There's a lot of different, recipes too. So it's just a preference thing. So for me, the commercial soils I've used are Dr. Earth, EB Stone. When I lived in Santa Barbara, I used to buy my soil mix at the California Cactus Center in Pasadena. When I moved here, I was buying it I was buying tanks, and then I was buying it at Eco Grow here in Tucson, and then they gave me the recipe that they use, which is actually a recipe created by Mark Dimmitt. So this is what this is. And I have done a separate video on DIY succulent cactus mix, which I will link in the blog post and down below for you. Now, the mix that I use, my recipe that's not really mine, has cocoa chips, cocoa coir, which is a more environmentally sound substitute for peat moss, pumice. Those are the main three ingredients. There are some others in it too, but it's very chunky. It's gritty too, and the water just drains through, so those roots and stems and leaves that store water don't succumb to root rot. So to amend the drainage, even commercial mixes come too heavy sometimes, so you might want to add something extra into it. These are some things that you can use. These are the clay pebbles. This is gravel, small rock. Here are the cocoa chips. Orchid bark is the same, and this is, pumice here. So these are all things that you can add in. Another thing that's commonly added into a soil mix for cactus is a coarse sand. So here's a close-up of the amendments here. These are the two I use. These are also good because they're nice and big and chunky. A lot of people like to use the rock. And as I said, I don't have any coarse sand here too, but some of the mixes have a lot of sand too, but I like to use pumice over perlite because it has more of a chunk and it has less dust than perlite does. But if perlite's all you have, you can use perlite too. Just anything that is going to aerate the soil and amend the drainage. And I really don't recommend using potting soil either, because potting soil tends to be on the heavier side unless you amend it really well, because it holds water more, and you don't want that, with your succulents at all. So there's a few options you have. You can either buy it at a local garden center or someplace like Home Depot or Lowe's or that, or you can make your own, or you can order it online. And now Amazon has succulent and cactus mixes, as does Etsy. There are actually some garden centers which make their own on Etsy and sell, and then eBay. And a really very popular succulent mix is Bonsai Jack. You can get it in a small bag. I make up huge batches because I plant succulents both indoors and outdoors. All these mixes are good for indoors and outdoors too. But with indoor succulents, you might want to amend the drainage even more so, because they're going to dry out a bit slower. But this is Bonsai Jack. It is sold in a lot of places as well as on their own websites. So this is a popular smaller company. And bigger companies include, as I said, E.B. Stone, Dr. Earth, Hoffman's, Kellogg's, Miracle Grow. So there are so many companies out there which make a succulent and a cactus mix. Even with those commercial mixes, you might need to add some of those amendments in. I found that, some of them tend to be a little heavier than I like for a succulent and cactus mix. But I think the best thing for you to do is you can just try some different ones. You can try the recipe if you want to. If you just have 1 or 2 succulents, a small bag is going to be plenty for you, but it's a preference thing. It's like, what camera is best for photography. It depends on what you really, really like and what takes pictures well and what makes you happy, and most importantly, makes your succulents happy. And my succulents love my succulent and cactus mix here. So as I said, there will be more details in the blog club post, plus a link to this mix here. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you have found this to be helpful. I thank you for all your likes and your subscribes. I really appreciate them. Now let's get into our indoor succulent gardens and make our worlds a more beautiful place. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next succulent video. Bye.